Welcome to week 3 training tape with the Great Plains Athletic Conference. Once again, Monty Tilgner joining us here this week, and we have 8 clips to share with not only the officiating staff, but the coaching staff. And coaching staff, we encourage you to share it with your players and your game day personnel. That way, everybody involved with the game of college football in the Great Plains Athletic Conference is receiving the same information and can understand the rules, mechanics, philosophies, and as we get into timing situations of what is expected to be handled and managed. So, Monty, thank you once again for joining us this week. From what you saw on the clips from the Deep 3, what do you think has been the biggest difference from week 1/week 0 and week 2 with the Deeps?
Yeah, I think just communication, I think, was a lot better. And, I think week 1, everyone had to, kind of get the kinks out, get more comfortable, get back into their routines. And I think that, just getting the game under your belt, everyone felt a little more comfortable. And I think the crew communication, it sounds like all the way around, was just significantly better.
I would 100% agree with that. We always see the biggest growth of crews from week 1 or game 1 and game 2. And these training videos are put together to continue the growth and development of the whole entire staff. All right, with no further ado, play number 1. What we have here is a line to gain is a reviewable play. So we did tell coaches in the beginning of the season, depending on where that sideline review is, coaches take a look and understand where that film is and what's going to give us the best look to potentially go to review and have a really good look at, did the ball achieve the line to gain, and did the ball not achieve the line to gain? So we're going to take a look at the play. So the ruling on the field is the most forward point right now is right about there. And I say right about there. If we zoom in, it gets pixelated. All right. But we're in a decent area of the field where this can be reviewable. So, Monty, in your experience, when it comes to the line to gain, what kind of advice could you give coaches so when they're looking at the iPad of should we use a timeout and our one challenge in the game to review this or not?
Yeah, so by far the biggest thing that they talk with us about, and especially our replay guys, is that the further away the camera is from where that ball is, the more it's distorted. So in this case, we're looking almost down the line. So this is about as good as we're going to get. We're distorted just a little bit, but especially if you're looking at the end zone camera, but even the sideline camera, if you're talking, from the 35s and in, especially the 30s and in, everything gets pushed that direction. So you're not going to have a really good look. It's just going to be so much harder to have it where we're going to be able to, reverse that call. It's probably going to stand. So just be aware of that.
And then the other thing that I had with the discussion with the coach of, Sean, would this have been a good play to replay? My coaches looking at the iPad told me it was clearly short. And the best advice I could give coaches, and I really want to take this arrow out now, is when we use the word clearly as an officiating staff and now as a coaching staff, we're looking for a half-yard difference, if not a full yard distance, which we're going to get into an offensive pass interference here later in the training tape. But when we get to review on this, is this ball touching the 48-yard line hash mark? Is it not? It's not indisputable. So what we would be looking for here from an officiating staff is clearly would be a full half yard, either for or against. We're right here in the middle, and then he winds up pulling it back as he gets tackled. As Monty said, this would stand as called, not confirmed, not overturned, but it clearly would be at minimal a half-yard difference or a full yard difference.
Yeah, and if I'm a coach too, I'm thinking about the fact of, do I want to use my one challenge on this when they're still going to have 4th and 1? Because there's definitely could be a lot bigger play where they don't have an option for another. I mean, they got 4th and 1. They got another chance to make that line to gain yet. A lot of things to think about for coaches.
Absolutely. All right, so our second play revolves again a potential replay situation, a pass fumble. So we talked about this year. It's very important to understand going into a game. We have sideline replay. We do not have replay. And this type of play is a perfect example of we are going under the same philosophy of the when in doubts. Now, pass fumble. This is going to be a play where the referee has going to have to choose: is that hand empty or is it not empty? All right, so let's play this out, then we'll talk through it. So pass fumble play, which is reviewable via coach's challenge. All right, so we need to know if hand is empty. Once the arm is coming forward, line of scrimmage officials, the big learning point on this one, always play this as a fumble until you get information from your referee. So we're going to go to the end zone angle, and then we'll let Monty talk about his experience of what's the best way to officiate this on the field. And then if we do go to replay, how would we use this as indisputable evidence? So we have an empty hand, and the correct call here is fumble. All right, if this went to sideline replay, this would be indisputable evidence. So Monty, in your experience, and you were talking about a little NFL research, what is your experience when it comes to this type of pass fumble play?
Yeah, well, first of all, we got to understand the rule of when it's a forward pass. So by rule, it's a forward pass if he has control of the ball when his hand first starts coming forward. So if he has control and his arm starts coming forward and then he gets hit, we've got to pass. All right. This case, we're talking about what we call the empty hand. That the hand is coming up. It's not going forward yet when that ball gets hit out. Now, the NFL did a study, and it was like 10, 15 years ago, but they did a study where they did hundreds, if not thousands, of pass fumble plays. And what the research showed was when that quarterback gets hit from the backside like this, it was either 80 or 85% of the time it was a fumble. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head of they're coming from the backside. Really try to get a good look of that empty hand or not. But this is one I think you definitely could, you know, either reverse if they ruled pass, you have enough video evidence to reverse this to a fumble, or if you have fumble, you have enough video evidence to confirm it. So we would not, this would be one that we would either confirm or we would reverse. We have enough video evidence to do that. It would not be a stands.
And I know I always encourage coaches to share this video with their players. So if there are defensive players watching this video, you see the referee throw his beanbag here. And what that beanbag is indicating is his judgment of a fumble. All right, so correctly ruled on the field live as a fumble. And then we have a fumble recovery by the offense. Line of scrimmage did a great job here, not blowing the whistle. We will always pass fumble with the quarterback. Treat this as a fumble because we could always get the information later from the referee of an incomplete pass later on.
Yep. And as far as the judgment by that referee, like Sean said, you are treating it like you do not have replay. You have coaches sideline replay, which is different than a replay, replay booth. So the when in doubts are similar to high school. So when in doubt, pass or fumble. When in doubt, it's a pass.
All right, play number 3. It's going to be another fumble play, but this is a different type of fumble play. This is a fumble or down by contact. Again, we're focusing on review. Is it reviewable? Yes. This would be reviewable if the coaches want to challenge it. So I first start here. This is a great no call of not getting fooled by an offensive hold. We have a block, and then the defender loses his feet. All right, simple as that. This is not offensive holding. So this is a good, correct no call on the field. And then we have the ball loose, and we have the defense falling on the football, and the officials ruling on the field is the ball is down. So now the end zone angle is going to give us the best look at it. So here's going to be the body part down. We still have clear possession of the ball. So this would be indisputable evidence that there's no fumble on the play. So Monty, you were talking about sort of that ball bouncing up in the air. What can you have share with the staff and coaching of what does that ball bouncing up in the air typically mean?
Yeah, that typically means that he was down. So remember, the ground cannot cause a fumble. And it's going to be pretty hard for a body part not to touch the ground. I mean, that ball would have to be loose, not firmly controlled in his hand. It'd have to be loose before any of that happens in order for it to be a fumble.
Now, just for the what if situation. So, what if it was ruled down on the field, but video indisputably shows that the ball is loose? So, on the field, the ball's dead. Would you consider this immediate recovery by the defense?
Yeah, so they give us pretty specific guidelines on this that it's not a time factor. It's not like you have 2 seconds or 3 seconds. It's really, do we have a recovery in the continuing action? And what that really means is, does everyone continue to play like it's a fumble? Do you have players going after the ball? Or does everyone stop? If we have players continue to go after the ball and other players stop, then we have a continuing action and we're going to allow that recovery. Basically, it's not over until pretty much everybody is given up, which they just don't do that anymore. It's very, very rare because when the ball is not secured, the defense is taught just pick up the ball. We never know what they're going to rule or what happened on the play. So it's almost always going to have where we're gonna have that continuing action.
And I will commend. I've been to about 3 different programs practices. Every single defensive coach is out there saying, whenever that ball's on the ground, go pick it up immediately. Go pick it up because you just never know. Never know when that replay is gonna be initiated, and we have continuing action because the defense is going to pick up that loose ball. All right, perimeter holding here. We're going to watch this play, and then we're going to talk about the step process of when we see the potential foul and then when it becomes a foul. And Monty, it's going to be the wide receiver here as a deep official. So I'll pretty much let you take this play from the beginning, middle to the end, because you're used to seeing these type of perimeter holding plays.
Yep. So we know if we have a hold right now, it really doesn't mean anything because we're not even close to the point of attack when that runner's 10, 15 yards away from him. But the closer we get to the point of attack, the less material restriction we have to have a foul. So, right now we're still good. Right now is when we have that grab and restrict. And when we go to the end zone view, don't go to it yet. But when we do, you'll see he actually grabs that player's arm and pulls it back even at the very last second. So this would be a good one to get, from a deep wing. I think the line judge, I think it's the headline judge, would have had a better look at it if he had not moved downfield, if he had stayed at that, at the line of scrimmage, because he ends up getting too close to it. And distance is your friend when it comes to seeing fouls, and you're just really, really close to that. So that'd be my advice there, definitely. And then the comment is, the flag spot of the flag matters. So since that basic spot's the end of the run and our foul is behind that, we're gonna enforce from the spot of the foul. So if our flag doesn't get there, we need to move our flag to that spot of the foul. You can see here that right there, he still grabs that guy's arm and has it and is restricting him. So that's going to open up, to the deep wing. It'd be kind of a tough one, I think, for the back judge. Um, he might get it with this last little bit if he definitely sees a restriction, but primary for the deep wing.
All right, so
We do
you
want it
talk
to be
about
really big in the open field, but this one definitely is one that would be good to get.
so you talk about the spot of the foul. It's not a foul right now at the
No.
35-yard line. It's
Even though
not
he's
a
holding
foul
him,
right
it's
now
not a
at the
foul
30,
because it's not at the point of attack.
correct? That's where it becomes a foul, correct?
Yep, and it continues to here. Yep. So that foul occurs at the 34-yard line.
All right, so it's not where the block actually begins, but it's where the block turns into the foul.
Yeah, where we have the restriction.
So grab and restrict outside the body frame, 34-yard line, 10-yard penalty, and we enforce the foul. All right, so this is throwing the supervisor underneath the bus. All right, so we could all learn from this play. All right, and so we have a free kick, and we have the receiver's restraining line at the 45-yard line. So the rule states the kickers cannot block the receivers until it is legal for them them as in the kickers to recover the ball. So we're going to play this out. So we have an illegal block, and I thought I'd change this, so I apologize. Illegal touching. So we were going to have an onside kick, and it wasn't kicked very well. And then we have blocking prior to that ball going 10 yards. And then we're going to go to the end zone view here. And this is I will tell you the learning point, every single kick is an onside kick until proven otherwise. All right, so officials, every kick is an onside kick until proven otherwise. So we have the first touch off the tee, and then the ball bounces down and hits the kicker, illegal touching at the 8:36. So that is the spot of illegal touching. And then we have the blocking by the kicking team before they're eligible to touch the kick. So, Monty, what could be some advice on this type of play, minus what I just already said?
Yeah, well, the important thing is, they have options of taking the ball at the spot of illegal touching, or they can enforce the illegal block. But we need to know where we can enforce that from. And what you need to know as officials is you can never enforce a foul from the spot of illegal touching. You can enforce a foul from the end of the kick in a situation or from the dead ball spot. In this case, it would be the dead ball spot. It's also the end of the kick. But so we can't enforce this from where it's illegally touched the first time. We can enforce this from this spot where he jumps on the ball. That's the second spot of illegal touching, but that's also the dead ball spot. And since that's a dead ball spot, we could enforce that penalty from that spot.
So, had a flag been thrown here, we would enforce the 10-yard illegal block penalty from the B 39-yard line.
Yeah, that's where he jumped on the ball. Yes.
Okay. All right, so as we go into week 3, officials, every single free kick is an onside kick until proven otherwise. And when this type of play happens, slow everything down, share the information, and understand the options we have. And when we do that, we talk about communication at the beginning of this training tape. Whenever we have 2 or 3 officials together talking, open up your O2O so other officials could hear the conversation. You'd be surprised of how many times officials outside of the conversation hear something and can provide information to get the call correct and enforcement correct. All right, the next play. We have a new rule this year when it comes to replay. All right, so we have a body part down prior to the pass is the ruling on the field. We are still officiating play as is. So we're not going to, quote unquote, keep the play alive and then rely on the replay official to come back and say that he was down. So we're going to take a look at this play as is, and then Monty, you'll talk us through the new replay rule change had this pass gotten off but ruled down.
Yeah, so like Sean said, you want to officiate this like you don't have replay because you don't. You have coach's challenge. So the new rule this year is if we rule this quarterback down before if we say he was down before he made that pass, and if this pass is completed or if it's intercepted, now we can, if we have if we have IVE to show that he was not down, we can award either the catch or the interception. There can be no advance, whether it's on a catch or an interception. There cannot be any advance, but we could award that interception or that catch if we see that he wasn't actually down. That's a new rule. It wasn't the case last year. Second thing to know about this one is, let's say that he dumps this, and if it would be a pass, it would be intentional grounding. Okay, well, not the case here, but if it would be intentional grounding, referee, you need to know, your crew needs to communicate that with you. And if it gets challenged, you would want to make the announcement, there's no foul for intentional grounding because the passer was ruled to be down before the pass. Because if you make that announcement and you go back to review this and it shows that he is not down and you have a pass, now you can put intentional grounding on. If you don't make the announcement, you can't. So you got to be thinking about that before you ever go to review. If it goes to review, if it was a pass, it would have been grounding. Make that announcement that it's not because of this, and then you can put it on if you come back and it's actually a pass.
All right, so had the defense on this, we see the ruling on the field here is an incomplete pass. That is the ruling without replay. If this is under 2 minutes, and I'm going to let this roll till right about, I'm going to back it up one spot. He is now down with possession of the football. So we would have indisputable evidence that this is a ball carrier that is down at the 22-yard line. The defense has to call timeout to challenge the ruling on the field. We would overturn this play, and we would say the ball carrier was down prior to the pass. The ball will be placed at the 22-yard line, position number 1. We would have a 10-second runoff here because with the overturn, they are not charged a timeout. And now the offense will have to make the decision, do they want to call a timeout to prevent that 10-second subtraction? All right, so it's not an automatic 10-second subtraction, but since the ruling on the field was an incomplete pass, we overturn it. Since there was not a timeout charged, we would have a 10-second subtraction after the 2-minute timeout in this situation. And then you would have to go to the offense and ask them, do they want to call a timeout to avoid the 10-second subtraction? So a lot of information to digest on this type of play, the new rule, and 10-second subtraction after the 2-minute timeout.
Yeah, so if replay reverses it, and when replay reverses it, we would have a running clock. That's when the 10-second runoff is now an option if we're under 2 minutes.
All right, we had a targeting called on this play, and once we have a targeting call on the field, we need to confirm all aspects on sideline replay. So we're going to play this out, and then Monty, I sort of want to have you walk through, if you were underneath the tent, of what you would be communicating to the crew when it comes to what you are seeing to help you process this play of confirming all aspects of targeting. Because the ruling on the field here was we have targeting forcible contact to the head and neck area of a defenseless player. And before I hand it over to Monty, officials, we are officiating this play exactly like we have been officiating this play previous years. These three deep officials did a great job of throwing their flag to initiate the conversation of targeting, calling targeting on the field, and then having the referee and the scribe go to sideline replay to review the replay of targeting. So with that being said, Monty, what would you be talking through as you're watching this replay underneath the tent?
Yeah. First of all, 100%, this should be thrown by the deeps. So good job with doing that. And then remember what you gotta have all aspects of targeting that are confirmed. So in this case, we don't have the crown of the helmet for sure. It's the side. So then it's he's defenseless or not. And your judgment of defenseless is, does he have possession of the ball and become a runner? And by becoming a runner, there's multiple things you can look for, of doing it like what we call a second act. In this case, it's kind of jumping a little bit, but this runner takes 3 full steps. Okay. And he tucks the ball away. And it looks like he also starts to prepare for the contact that he's going to receive. So that being the case, he's not defenseless. And if he's not defenseless, the only way we would have targeting is with the crown, and we don't have the crown. So since you can't confirm all aspects of the targeting, then it's going to be reversed, and we will not have targeting on the play. And this is one they did not go with personal foul with targeting. It was just targeting, which I agree with that as well.
All right, so just a final recap on this play. Officials, we need a flag on this type of hit. Forcible contact, head and neck area. Let's get together. Let's discuss. We put targeting on it. Referees going to the iPad and the tent, taking the information from your crew, but you turn into a replay official, right? And only use the information that is on video and have your open mic. So then the rest of your crew, click by click in slow motion, gets the information to get this call right of no targeting. The player was not defenseless. All right, so good job of throwing the flag and going to sideline replay on this one. Last play for the training tape. We sort of talked about last week on our training tape about crew communication of when the catch is caught beyond the line of scrimmage to help the deep officials with offensive pass interference. So, Monty, I'll let you take it over from here of what you would be looking for as a deep wing when processing this play of offensive pass interference.
Yeah, again, right now, if you stop it, Sean, there's our blocking. That's 100% that offensive player is creating the contact. He's blocking. He's broken down his feet. He's taking a blocking posture. He's initiating the blocking. So as a deep official, you got to recognize that and you got to say to yourself blocking. And I say it out loud. I'll say blocking out loud when I see this. And that's got me on step one of OPI. So right now I've got what I call OPI hanging. So I can't throw my flag yet because if this ball is first touched behind the line, I have no foul for OPI because by rule we don't. If the quarterback gets sacked, if the quarterback runs with the ball, we have no foul for offensive pass interference because the ball was not passed beyond the line. And that's the second part of it. That's why it's a hanging foul. So right now, as a deep official, we need to see this. Now, the H, I know this guy's coming in your belt, number 7. He's also free of foul. So if the H would see downfield and see this blocking, then he would know I've got blocking. And then he definitely is going to see where the touching occurs. He could have that flag all by himself. It's a more difficult call for the H than it is for a deep official, either the back judge or the side judge in this case. But we've got OPI hanging, and now this play just takes forever to develop. And when the timing gets messed up is when those receivers tend to drift downfield. So when the timing gets messed up, we need to be thinking about there's a higher potential that ball is going to be touched beyond the line. And really, this ball is touched a good 3 yards beyond. If you continue until he touches it, a good 3, almost 4 yards beyond. Deep officials, that's enough that you should be able to get this baby all by yourself. That being said, H, you know what was touched beyond. So you need to think about this ball was touched just beyond the line of scrimmage and just get on your O2O and just say beyond. Because if you say beyond, that either one, the back judge or the side judge, he knows he had blocking. Here he hears you say beyond, boom, flag goes out. Those are tough plays. OPI is by far the toughest play that we have in the passing game.
And it is a tough play, and that's the importance of putting these type of plays on our training tapes from last week to this week. All right, so from a coaching standpoint, I'm not sure if number 7 was supposed to catch this ball behind the line of scrimmage or not, but typically they make plays to touch the ball at or behind the line of scrimmage. But officials, when it is touched and caught beyond the line of scrimmage, give your deeps that information of beyond the line of scrimmage. Those are our 8 plays for training tape number 3. Monty, once again, thank you for taking time today to go over these 8 plays and helping not only the officials on the field, but the coaches understand when it comes to challenges, what is the optimum time to challenge, and then when it comes to the players of what we are looking for when it comes to that foul threshold. So going into week 3 for us, any words of advice or tips or challenges that you would give officials going into the next week?
Yeah, keep looking at your games, keep looking at things to work on as a crew, keep communicating, stay in the book, have great pre-games, and just pre-snap routine is huge, and just trust the process. Keep getting better.
All right. My thing is focus one snap at a time. Thank you again, Monty. Until next week, thank you for joining us for the Great Plains Athletic Conference Week 3 training tape.